Hello, Darren. We are in a relationship crisis, which I didn't know about. But
Yeah,
you're telling me we are. Tell me more. What are you talking about?
it's official. This is only our second episode, and we're already in a relationship crisis,
I
Richard.
know. Are we going to have our counsellor added in?
Yeah, we'll have to, dial them in shortly. So,
Absolutely. We are, of course, not talking about our relationship. We are talking very specifically around a CRM and sales impact report that Sugar has recently released. And we thought we'd have a conversation around it, bring up some key points, and then let people dive in there and have a read themselves, because we think it's got a lot of value in for a lot of people.
yeah, it's we'll put a link to the document in the show notes, as they say. But I'm going to actually bring it up on screen so people can have a bit of a look at it. We're going to discuss some of the really interesting takeaways from it. So might share my screen, and we'll get our heads off to the side and get the important thing information up front. So let me just
Perfect. Thank you.
You see that okay?
Perfect. Got it nice and clear, my end. Good
Excellent.
start by you.
Yeah. So we're in a customer relationship crisis. So this, as you said, is some research that Sugar did, where they've interviewed 1,000 sales professionals.
Not just professionals, 1,000 leaders, sales leaders.
Sales leaders, yeah. And I guess the important thing is, they've interviewed Australian sales leaders as part of it. So some really interesting Australian-specific data in here that we're going to jump into. So we'll just jump through a couple of slides. And I just wanted to mention before we get into some of the data that it's worth reading the note from Craig Charlton. He's the Sugar CEO, your boss, Rich, I think, isn't he?
Well, yeah, he definitely is my boss. Yes.
You could even be watching this episode, so make sure you leave a comment, Craig, if you are.
Very true.
And the interesting is Craig is also an Australian. So from a Sugar Australia perspective, it's great having an Australian leader of Sugar, and we've seen a lot of really dramatic improvements in the business in the 18 months or so that Craig's been leading the organisation. And I think sort of driving Sugar to do some research and be a thought leader, around customer experience and sales, service, and marketing is, certainly we're seeing it reflected in the product, and
absolutely,
and some good information coming in these sorts of reports. I think it's just worth pointing out this sentence down here, which sort of summarises what the report's around, where Sugar's asked sales leaders and decision makers about their CRM sales technology and the ability to uncover crucial customer insights. And 48% reported that their CRM doesn't meet their needs. So that's nearly half of the...
Pretty scary.
Yeah. So, I guess if people are watching this and they've got a CRM, the question is it meeting your needs? So, which side of that 50% do you fall on? So, worthwhile reading Craig's note there. This slide is about the state of CRM, where we're at currently. I think this sort of describes our situation with our broken relationship, Richard.
It does. Yeah, I didn't realise how much it was affecting you, Darren, but it certainly seems to be playing out of the numbers here, doesn't it?
Yeah, so it's a good line there. CRM is the broken heart of customer experience. So that's the 48% agree their CRM is unfit to provide the data they need to attain quota. So if you're a salesperson, achieving your sales quota is kind of the thing that you're there to do. So if you don't have the tools to do it, that makes it more difficult.
I think that's definitely scary. I think the key number that jumps out here for me is the 52% there on the right hand side, which is half the sales leaders actually report that it's the platforms are costing them potential revenue opportunities. So pretty scary that you're paying for a platform which is then costing you getting and closing business, right? It's a barrier as opposed to a bridged opportunity and revenue.
Yeah, well, I like another, there's lots of statistics on this page, but I like this one here for the Australian market. 49% of respondents were saying the failings of their organisation's CRM system are costing their organisation lost revenue. So that's just giving us the context of the Australian market. I guess, we're doing better than the US and the UK. Germany's in the lead, but I guess the question is, are we just more optimistic?
Yes, that might be the reason.
Yeah. So, but still pretty big numbers of
common problems, but different perspectives, maybe, right?
Perhaps, yeah. This one sort of draws into the cost of the status quo. Did you want to call out anything that grabbed your attention there?
Yeah, well, obviously, I think the big one here is the one that's pulled out on the page, which is the average sales rep only spends 54% of his or her time actually selling. I think that's pretty scary, right? If you were a builder and you were on site, or a bricklayer on site, and you only spent 54% of your time actually laying bricks, it'd be a bit worrying. You'd have half a building everywhere, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, I did think when I read that like sales is can be a complex job, depending on the type of sales role that you're in. For a lot of business to business sales professionals, there's quite a lot of things you've got to be doing in order to be an effective salesperson. But I think I guess the point that I think it's making is you need tools that make that reduce as much of that busy work as possible to maximize your selling time. And I think also that it's important that businesses work out when they get these tools, like how they can use them to operate more effectively. It's not a case of sort of getting a CRM and working the way that you've always done. Like these tools can really enable you to work differently, and you can get a lot more value out of them when you've configured them to support perhaps a more efficient way of working. And then obviously the tools themselves are that as well.
I think the automation piece in CRM and the ensuring that the process is right. If I flick back to the building analogy, if I'm the skilled bricklayer, you probably want me laying the bricks, right? And you can probably get a labourer, an unskilled labourer, to bring the bricks up to me. You think about that in terms of CRM, get the salesperson selling, and get the system doing the work, the automation piece, the cumbersome piece, the data entry that you don't want to do.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure if I can imagine you as a bricklayer, Rich.
I'd be very good bricklayer, Darren. Don't you worry about that. Oh dear.
All right. This is actually quite a good one. Churn. This is probably the main slide, I think. So what we're talking about churn is like lost revenue from existing customers. So there's quite a lot to pull out of this one. What did you want to call out?
Yeah, well, obviously I think maintaining the customer base that you already got is very, very important. A lot of businesses are measured in terms of value on their current book of business.
Yeah.
I think that everybody knows and everybody has heard a million times that it's easier to sell to the customers that you've already got than acquiring new customers. They're two massive things for me. If you're a business that is just churning through its customers, that puts a hell of a lot of pressure on another area of the business, which is acquiring new ones. So I think it's a hugely important piece. You were mentioning some piece. You said a very interesting line to me earlier, which is around the customer service piece. I don't know if you remember the line.
Yeah. Well, what prompted me to say that was a bit of information that's actually not in this report, but I saw something earlier in the week about how much businesses globally spend on marketing, which is like $500 billion odd dollars. It's like the GDP of Argentina is what gets spent on acquiring new customers, compared to the amount of money that is spent annually globally on servicing existing customers, which was like 20 or $30 billion. It was like an enormous difference. And and as you say, like we all know that it's much more profitable for us to for businesses to retain customers and expand their relationships with customers. And why are we constantly focusing on getting new ones rather than servicing our existing ones? And the line was that the takeaway is that customer service is the new marketing. We've got to, first we've got to look after our customers and make sure we're doing a good job and that we understand their current and future needs and keep them for a lifetime. And if we can do that successfully, well, then we're qualified to go and get new customers. And I think why don't organizations do that? And the reality is they don't have the tools usually.
Yeah.
And this point here, this quote really sums it up for me. So if we look at the Australian takeaway, 50%, half of Australian businesses, or respondents said that their organization's sales team cannot access aggregated customer data across marketing, sales, and service teams, which also means that their marketing people can't access that aggregated data and their service teams can't access that aggregated data. So if you just go back to the salesperson's perspective, how can you, account manage a valuable client relationship if you can't see a record of all the email correspondence with everyone from your organization and everyone in your client's organization, who all the contacts are, what all the call and meeting history is, what all the sales information from the ERP, what the marketing history is, what the support cases that are in place. How can you call a customer and not risk them knowing more about what's going on in your business than you do?
Yeah, we've spoken about it before. We hate ringing up companies that we would deal with in our personal lives. And you say you're having an issue with, let's call out our internet service provider, right? You ring them up, it's the fourth time you've rang, and that person knows nothing about the reason that you're ringing. It is infuriating. And that will drive me to churn as a customer.
Well, you don't have
I am out of there.
Yeah, you don't have a relationship there. Whereas if they know who you are, it can be a different person each time, but if they know, they know who you are, they know what's been going on, and they can help you quickly and promptly. It's not that hard really. They all have the information, they just don't have it in the one place. Is
very true. It's not that hard with SugarCRM, is what you're trying to tell me, Darren.
Well, yeah, I guess obviously, sugar is a solution to most of these problems. But yeah,
absolutely.
I think they're important problems to call out, nevertheless. So
no, I absolutely agree.
That slide is definitely worth exploring. This one's about AI. We talked about that last week in episode 1, didn't we?
We did indeed. It was the opening gambit for us, and something that we're very keen to talk about because we obviously have some incredibly exciting news with Sugar Predict coming into our core product. But yeah, again, something we want to talk about, something we encourage people to read. It's an incredibly exciting time. I know you've called out a few pieces on the slide that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, well, I will put a link to that previous video in the notes, and that's got a demo of it. So if you'd like to see what it looks like, it's worth a watch. But I think Paul Greenberg has been around for a long time. He's a CRM analyst. And he's just sort of saying, he's saying that sales teams that lean into AI-powered CRM can take advantage of lead insights and opportunity models that give them a significant competitive advantage. And I think we're going to see the machines, the AI, doing a lot more of the work and giving salespeople, business leaders, customer service people, and marketers more insights than what they've been able to generate previously. So, yeah, really interested to see how that development plays out over time.
Absolutely. We want our time back, Darren. Let me lay those bricks. I don't want to be carrying them up there. I want to lay those bricks.
That's right. You need the machine that sort of carries them up for you. Yeah.
That's
definitely.
It.
Well, you won't be working any less, Rich. You'll just be laying more bricks per day. That's the
just doing what I love. Doing what I love, Darren.
Yeah. So this is the last one to touch on. Again, it's kind of like the Olympics coming up, like the gold medal tally or something. I think.
That's it. Yeah.
I'm not sure if we're getting the gold or we've missed the podium here. There's some high numbers in Australia, but look, I think this is worth people downloading the report to read. I'll pick one. CRM systems is not fit for purpose. 52% of respondents. So not too good there.
Yeah, and then what the 40? Yeah, I was going to say for me, the 49% below that, which is CRM systems, is costing them revenue. Pretty frightening as well. Both numbers that are far too high for anybody in the business that would be reading them, right?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess, I guess the case that was made at the beginning of the article was that there is a customer relationship crisis. I think, we can probably say that according to the numbers that we've just seen, that, 50%, 50% of businesses are reporting that they are roughly in a lot of those statistics. So
I'm number one, I'm very glad that our relationship is fine. I was very worried for a few minutes there at the start. But number two, I would say that anybody that's currently got a CRM, it's probably worth looking into whether it's actually delivering on what it should be delivering, because this is clearly calling out that a lot of people who were interviewed realized that it really isn't. And so there is an impending moment of doom coming up for those people that don't look inside their own business and really investigate whether it's delivering.
Yeah, I think if you're recognizing some of some of those points resonate with your business, then you want to address them at some point. I think for people that are watching this, that if they download the report via the link, obviously it's worth reading, but it's actually potentially something that can drive a lot of conversations within your organization around those points. So, if you need to, talk to other people within the team, or, management, you can sort of say, well, this is what, the data is saying about other people in the market, and this is where you fit. Maybe it's a case of, well, we don't have those problems, so, we've got a competitive advantage, or it might be the case, well, we're one of those people that are experiencing those problems, and that is costing us. And it might be helpful to galvanize some of the conversations that you generally need to have in business to go and, look at, your CRM system. You generally don't change them all the time, but, what this is calling out is that there's, a real importance that if you want to focus on the relationship with your existing customers and you want to retain them and you want to grow them and have those customer relationships for life, then I guess you need to front up to whether or not you're in a position to actually be able to execute on that. And I think they're really powerful conversations for businesses to begin having if they're not already having them at the moment.
Absolutely. I think the shout out for this one, I would absolutely encourage everybody to download the report, but I'd also call out that if everybody wants to have a call or a conversation around the report with yourself and your team or me here at Sugar, we're happy to go through it and help them and their business really pull out maybe what's going to be relevant for them and the areas they could perhaps address. Even if we're covering that they're doing a great job in some areas and not in others, we're more than happy to have a conversation and talk about it.
You're open to new relationships, I think is what you're saying there, Richard.
Yeah, sorry, Darren, I am open to new relationships.
Okay, I'll get that. All right.
Thanks, mate. I'll see you again next week.
Okay.